Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products. Kick off right here in Oxford, Maine. Here tonight as the stars of the Northwest Racing Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products descend onto the 0.38 mile Oxford Plains Raceway for the Sarge's Veteran Support 200 live on LSR TV and CRN Sports Radio. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Rentz. Welcome here to Oxford, Maine for the Oxford 200 second annual. Joining me in the booth and in the production truck is Charles Wooten, and down on pit road is our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Wesley Outland in Oxford as well. And Charles, this is the first time LSR TV has broadcasted from Oxford Plains Speedway, and what a show we have tonight, the second annual Oxford 200 for the Northwest Tour.
Yeah, to be honest, Greg, I didn't even think this was a real track. I thought it was just something iRacing threw in here. There's piles of dirt in the infields, for crying out loud. I thought it was like one of the fictional tracks that they threw in here just to maybe put in dirt bikes one day so you have little jumps. I don't know, but it is a legit track. It actually exists in real life. And I'll be honest with you, it looks tiny, but we're going to fit like 20 to 22, or it looks like 18 or so of these super late models on here. It's bigger once you actually get in here and see a race happen on it.
24 cars will take the green flag here in tonight's 200 lapper. The Oxford 250, the real race which this is modeled after, is considered one of the crown jewels of super late model racing in the world. It's up for debate what you would consider a crown jewel, but the big four that everyone considers are the Snowball Derby, the Oxford 250, the All-American 400, and the Winchester 400. Those four would be considered your ground-based crown jewel events of the super late model racing. The Northwest Tour gets to replicate 3 of those 4 here in the next month of action, and it all starts tonight here at Oxford. 200 laps as opposed to the 250 laps of the real life Oxford 250, but 200 laps tonight. It's the second time the series is going to run at Oxford. Caden Anderson got the win in the first one last year. He has not been to victory lane in Northwest Tour competition since that night just over 1 year ago. So he no doubt will be looking for something, but he's got work cut out for him. He qualified 11th quick on the charts. The pole tonight going to last year's road course winner and second in points. Ryan Gormley finished second in points last year, gets his first pole of the season, comes here at Oxford.
Yeah, this is going to be a different race for sure, as of course Travis Barnes, Dylan Huffines, your top 2 right now here in practice. Again, a tiny little track. And, you talk about dirt tracks here for a minute, Greg, where most tracks, dirt or asphalt alike, really have walls. This track does not have any walls except for one, and that's on the front stretch. And really, to be honest, that's more to protect the fans than it is anything else. So there are absolutely no walls around here. You've been here before last year when you did this race. How are we going to see these guys get around the track? It clearly looks like a groove down at the bottom. Are we going to see any 2-wide, possibly 3-wide racing here? And who's going to be going and playing in the beach sand here in just a little bit?
The later the race goes, the more you're going to see guys start trying the high side. But for the first 100 laps, you can forget about trying it on the outside. We saw it while we were watching both the C and B main tonight. Drivers in those 40-lap C main and 60-lap B main were not able to get that high groove to come in either of those races. The longer this race goes, 200 laps, and remember, no tires here available. So 200 laps on the same set of tires. You're going to be breaking in. You're eventually going to try new stuff. The outside groove may come in the second half of the race, but you're not going to see that groove even begin to be tried until at least the halfway break. And you mentioned drivers going off into the sand on the tracks. You can expect quite a bit of that, Charles, because it is going to be interesting watching these guys. Once they start trying the high side, there's going to be a lot of marbles up there, and they are going to go flying off the track. I want to turn our attention down to pit road and our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Wesley Outland. And Wesley, a historic racetrack here, one of the crown jewel events of the real world, and one of our main crown jewel events of the Northwest Tour, the Oxford 200 here. Wesley, your thoughts on tonight's race as we get ready?
Yeah, man, so much history here at the Oxford Plains Speedway in Oxford, Maine. Charles, I'm literally disappointed in you that you did not know that this is one of the crown jewels of super late model racing, but he's mainly a dirt guy. But anyhow, Speed 51 covers every crown jewel event of pavement racing, and this is where it all kicks off in around the end of August, beginning of September. It is the show right before Labor Day, the Oxford 250. Well, tonight for the iRacing Virtual Northwest Tour Super Late Models presented by Joe's Racing Products, they're going to battle for, again, a double century grind around this facility as we see some cars bumping, banging, sliding, dirt tracking, if you will, Charles, around the small confines of Oxford, Maine. You know, Tom Mayberry and all the great folks up there operate that racetrack, and the late Bob Bear was one of the great promoters of racing. He started Oxford Plains and then moved into running Pocono and so many other great racetracks, even like New Hampshire Speedway. The great history that is here at Oxford Plains is phenomenal. This will be a great race. Drivers will come in. I think they'll be able to change the tires or two. They'll have to get damage fixed, and I'll be able to cover all that action virtually as your Joe's Racing Products pit reporter before I become one of the reality Joe's Racing Products pit reporters when I fly out Tuesday to Pensacola for the 53rd Snowball Derby. Greg, it should be a fun time here at Oxford Plains.
Looking forward to this 200 lap race. Want to talk a little bit about what you talked about. No tires for these drivers available. The 4 tires they got on the car are the tires that's going to get them through all 200 laps.
Wow, that's going to be tough.
No fast repairs either. You can come down and get damage repaired, but you got to do it the old-fashioned way by pulling into your pit stall and waiting it out till your car gets fixed. And that can lead to some hot tempers, but not quite as hot as the racetrack as we take a look perhaps at our weather conditions here at Oxford Plains. Track temperature 131 degrees. As you see there on the sawblade.com weather conditions, temperature ambient is just 87 degrees with a little 2-mile-per-hour wind coming in, but that track temperature 131 degrees with only those 4 tires that you have on the car to start this race. These tires are going to be completely shot at the end of the race. They are going to be screaming at the end of this 200 lap race, begging for forgiveness and mercy at the end of this 200 lap race at Oxford. Hey fans, tonight's race is brought to you by Sarge's Veteran Support. Our friend Gary LaVilla, a former competitor on the iRacing Northwest, for stepping up with this. It's a non-profit organization to help out veterans of our great country and everything that they have done for us. We cannot post the PayPal link for donations in race chat, but what we can do, we'll do it on the LSR TV Facebook, and we'll do it on the iRacing Northwest Tour Facebook page as well. We will post the link to that GoFundMe account. They are accepting donations, our proud sponsor of tonight's race, and we thank you guys for helping out, and of course we thank all of our veterans for everything that they have done for us. Hey, speaking of LSR TV Facebook and the iRacing Northwest Tour Facebook, as we've done here the last 3 races, we also have Share Your Seat going on. It's the new contest on LSR TV for the Northwest Tour, and we're trying to get it to expand out to also the other series. And we have Joe's Racing Products t-shirts as well, but this week is something a little bit special. We have iRacing Northwest Tour merchandise up for grabs. That's right, our great friends at Atomic Screen Printing, who does all the great t-shirts and hoodies from all the major races in the Northwest. If you're a race fan in the Northwest, odds are you have at least something in your closet from Atomic Screen Printing. The Fall Classic hoodie, a Summer Showdown hoodie, Apple Cup, you name it, they most likely threw together the sweatshirt for it. Well, they stepped up big and gave us custom Northwest Tour merchandise, and we are going to give away a t-shirt to a lucky fan. All you got to do is what you've done the last 3 races. Post the picture and tag both the LSR TV Facebook and the iRacing Northwest Tour Facebook page. Make sure you tag them and make it public. You cannot send it in to a message and it'll count. It has to be posted publicly. Tag that for a shot to win an official iRacing Northwest Tour merchandise, a t-shirt courtesy of our great friends at Atomic Screen Printing. And while we're at it, we'll also post a link there as well, as there is merchandise up for sale. I believe as of now the online store closes tomorrow, but we're working on getting that extended for at least another week, so check us out. Big thanks to Atomic for stepping up, and make sure you share your seat now because you're going to want to be entered in this contest to win some of that awesome merchandise tonight, Charles.
Yeah, and only one thing you missed there, Greg, and that, of course, is we're here to set records. Well, that's one reason we're here anyway. And we got about 40 on YouTube right now, about 16 to 20 on Facebook. We'll total those up at the end of the night, what the max is that we had at one time. Again, we want concurrent viewers. We want you guys to come and stay with us. Don't just come and leave. We want you to stay. So invite everybody you can out here. If they like racing, if they just like the Northwest, whatever the reason, if they like it racing, something, get them out there, tell them to come watch and leave it going and watch it. They're going to see some good racing. 115 is what we topped out at last week, which was more than, I think 10 more than the week before, and we want to top that again. I want to go for 125. That's my goal here for tonight's race. I think we can do it, and you still got time to get your friends out here, friends, family, to come in and watch. We still have about 7 minutes before we even get into any racing action, and we saw some really good racing in the C main. A few cautions during the B main, but they sorted that out. But we're here for the A main, the feature race, and we talk every week about the tap out rule, Greg. How important is that tap out rule going to be here tonight? Because this track is probably one of the smallest we've been to so far, or at least looks that way anyway. And that little curb right there, you see that white line going around it on the corners, that curb is vicious. And I have a feeling we're going to have some people get into that and probably cause the caution, but somebody behind them is going to hit them, spin them. They're going to think they're at fault when really they're not. So that tap out rule is going to get really confusing here tonight.
Well, let me tell you from experience, that curb will bite you. My lone, one and only super late model victory on iRacing came at this racetrack, and the only reason I got that win is because the guy in front of me caught the curb and wrecked as we were coming around to take the white flag, and I was able to squeak by. So that curb will bite you. And you mentioned the tap out rule. What that is, that's a Northwest Tour thing. It's a way to keep drivers accountable. It's a self-policing tool. If there's a caution, the admins will say, okay, guys, hey, who was at fault in that one? Who's taking the blame? And the idea behind it is if a driver feels he's at fault, or she, in the case of Ellie Musgrave, who did not make the A main here tonight, but has been in the A main in the past, our only female driver in series history, and our driver to win the B main last week at Iowa. But they key up, they say, hey, my fault, I tap on that one, I'm sorry, that's my fault. Punishment ends there. You get your EOL, you go to the back of the line, that's it, no more questions asked. However, if someone does not tap, goes to review board, and we've talked about the review board. We don't know who the review board is. All we know is it's racers that are in this race. After the race, they will review all cautions, and they will determine if anyone who should have tapped did not tap. If they are, then they go on probation. We do have drivers in the field that are on probation from cautions at Iowa that it was determined that they did not tap for. So, with that said, it's a self-policing tool to try to get everybody on the same page and keep the racing clean. This race last year, we saw a 125-lap green flag run to start the race off. The 200-lap race did not see its first caution until lap 126, and only 2 cautions in that race. And you mentioned this track being small. Between this and Lanier, it's a tie for smallest track that the Tour will visit here this season. So the admins were expecting there to be penalties handed out as a result of this race, and we understand that there will be a couple of penalties handed out from the B main, and we just have to wait and see what will be happening in A main tonight.
Yeah, and we heard also in that C main and in the B main, people were attempting it. Is you can see right there, again, you can't really see it back in the background now, but again, that curb, they told drivers there is a set area to come on to the track. We'll see it again here in just a second, but they told people stay below that white curb. curb when entering the track. Do not enter back on the track and try to jump over that. So you can see right there, you can see how it loops around, as you can see that blue car doing it there, and right there you can enter the track. You cannot enter anywhere else. There's no blue cone here per se like you see on the NASCAR tracks. However, they are enforcing that rule to stay below that curb when entering the track. It's really, honestly, it's for the safety of all drivers involved, especially if you're coming out during green flag conditions, which in my opinion is going to be very scary idea.
About 1 minute left in final practice before we turn them loose for 200 laps. Wesley, want to go back down to you real quick for your final thoughts here entering tonight's race. 200 laps here tonight. You talked about it. Caden Anderson, the winner last year of this race, the inaugural run into this race. Your final thoughts as we get ready for this 200 lap race.
Well, the question is, can Caden Anderson finally be able to get off the schneid, pull the pieces, and find the right ingredients to make the right perfect cake and find virtual victory lane here tonight at a track that he knows very, very well, and he won at last year, Oxford Plains Speedway. The key here is with all of these drivers, if they've got to stay out of trouble, and I'll also say patience is another opportunity that needs to be used here in this race. You go out there all bull in a china closet, you're going to be off on the trailer virtually very, very quickly. Play your cards right, stay out of trouble, and if you can do that, we can see Caden Anderson or somebody else in victory lane. It should be fun being your Joe's Racing Products pit reporter. When the drivers come in, though, they can't change tires. That's another thing, Greg, they're going to have to also conserve is rubber. Remember that cliche in that movie, Days of Thunder? Tires are what wins races. This is a short track. You can rest assured, if you do not save your tires, you're going to be in the front to the penthouse to the outhouse very quickly.
And tires is the name of the game, and especially with the track temperature being 131 degrees. Practice winding down now, the final minute coming to an end here. We will see the checker flag in just seconds, and we will be ready for 200 laps as you see some drivers pulling into the pits now for their final pit stall. You saw Garrett Huffines there in the number 42. Second place in this race last year, had to take a provisional here tonight, Charles. Second place in this race last year, had to take a provisional because he did not transfer in through the B main.
Yeah, that definitely just gives you a perspective of how tough the competition is here. And, like Wesley said, there's going to be people in the in-house, the outhouse. There's going to be people in the Oval Office, per se, probably having their minds chewed out. And, of course, we'll be in the suites.
We got the best view of the track here tonight as checker flag has fallen and the field begins to grid here for 200 laps here at Oxford Plains Speedway. And as the field begins to grid up on the front stretch, let's take a look at our ComServe wireless starting line. Remember, a 16-car invert off of qualifying time. So 16th place in qualifying, Josh Washington will lead him to green. In the number 06, North Wilkesboro winner Nick Bellamy going to start to his outside on the front row, with Scott Mann in the number 90 making up row number 2 alongside BJ Tidrick in the number 72. He starts fourth. What, Charles?
And a row of 3 is going to be the 32 of Seth Frazier and the 37 of Caden Anderson. Two very fast, very skilled drivers. Row 4 is going to be the 79 of Gary Smith and the 8 of Travis Barnes.
Gary Smith, the winner at USA, the season opener. You got Travis McKinney back in the field, last year's Rockingham winner in the number 48, alongside Brock Denny, the Tucker Dog Special, number 64. As we pick it along very quickly here, Garrett Sisk and Levi Allen making up 11th and 12th. Dylan Huffines and Ryan Gormley, quick times in this one. We got to go quick, Charles, because they're rolling to a green flag in just a lap.
That they are. It's going to be Bart Hector Jr. in the 82 and the 97. Chris Carroll, row 8. And row 9 is going to be the 52 of Jason Day and the 6 of Cameron Doyle.
Cole Raz in the number 21 and Bryce Beatty starting in the 20th position. Isaiah Gill and Josh Beal. The final 2 cars in from the B main. Matt Hackathorn and Garrett Huffines were your provisionals, and we are coming to a green flag here this time by. We were hoping to get our pole sitter Josh Washington, but with the laps as short as it is, we're just going to have to send it here because they're coming off turn number 4. Pace car is in. Wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness because it is showtime.
Showtime indeed, and it's gonna be a show. We get a good start there as you're gonna have Nick Bellamy to the inside right now in the 06, and they are beating and banging already, Greg, and we're only not even a full lap into this race. Again, it's gonna be a good one. They're side by side, but it's gonna be Bellamy that gets the lead over Washington.
And Bellamy remains one of 2 drivers to lead laps at this racetrack. He led 77 laps in this race last year. Caden Anderson led the remaining 133 of it, but that's going to change here now as Josh Washington gets the lead off of turn number 4. He leads lap number 2 as the field begins to settle in single file behind him. Single file already back to at least 10th, and it looks like we are going to see our first side-by-side battle, but a caution out already.
Bryce Beatty in the 07 bringing out the caution.
Problems for Beatty in the 07. Tough one there. Go under caution for the first time here tonight. We take a look at the swag replay. Take a look at what happened. We saw him off in the sand there alongside Jason Day, your B main winner in that number 52. It was over here off of turn number 2 that it happened, so we'll watch the 07.
Hey,
some contact with Cole Raz. Contact with Cole Raz.
And not sure who that is else.
That's Huffines. That's Garrett Huffines. Finished 2nd in this race last year.
Unfortunately, he just got a little bit in it. I don't think he has too much damage there. So it looks like Garrett Huffines will be fine. No major issues for him. But again, 5 laps into this race, well short of the record from last year. But then again, these guys are itching for a win here in this series.
Cole Raz has tapped on this one, so he will start at the tail end of the field. Hey, we're under caution now, so I think Wesley Allen might be able to catch up with our pole sitter Josh Washington this time. We were trying to get him before we went green, but the laps just click away so quickly here at Oxford that we were done with the starting lineup and we were coming off turn 4 to take the green flag, but maybe not because they're already stacking up 2 by 2. Shows you just how quick these cautions are gonna roll, so we may again have to see if Wesley can catch up real quick.
I got Josh Washington. He led the field to the green. Josh, what's it going to take win here at Oxford Plains today?
Very gentle throttle foot.
Well, I know you qualified 16th, but on the invert, you're able to get the pole. Do you feel like you got a strong enough car here for this race?
Just depends. Hopefully to keep it pointed forward here.
All right, we'll see what happens. Again, that's the driver that dropped the green flag, led him to the start, Josh Washington. And Greg, he'll lead him to the restart as well. We go back to green.
We're back green. Thank you, Josh, for joining us here. Ooh, almost some contact between Scott Mann and Nick Bellamy. Right behind him as Washington able to clear. Seth Frazier, defending series champion, to the inside of BJ Tidrick. 2 of the big brains behind this series as they roar past the flag stand. You see right there, the first side-by-side battle is between Frazier and Tidrick. And remember, Frazier on Monday punched his ticket to the championship race in the Northwest Cup Series at Phoenix with a win at Iowa. BJ Tidrick still alive as the caution is out for the 2nd time here already.
And I believe it's for the 80th
maybe Hackathorn.
Let's take a look. Again, this is one of those tracks, Greg, as we go back to look for the replay here, where they're already getting so slow on speeds in some of these corners. And right there, the 84 gets into the 03, I believe that is. We'll have to take another look and see as well. We'll take it from the drone view here. They get so slow speeds in the corners, it's hard to see when they actually do get under a caution unless you're right there on top of it.
I believe this may be the 07 of BD again. Of course, all aerial coverage is brought to you by All American Pools. Hackathorn on the outside there, BD on the inside in the 07.
And you're right there, the 07 of BD.
Fortunately, they just come together. Hackathorn has tapped into number 84, so he will start at the tail end of the longest line in this one. So Bryce Beatty off to not the start he was looking for, as he has become kind of a pinball here at the start of this race. But Hackathorn, he has not been a slouch here getting into this race. He had to race his way in through the C main, won the C main, got into the A main off a provisional in the B main. So have to see what he can do here to make his way forward in the A main, but unfortunately not off to his start, as they already double him up 2 by 2. We're going to be going back green here in just one lap. Josh Washington has led all but one lap so far, and he's going to be hoping that these short green flag runs continue, because the more and more that happens, the more laps are going to be able to click away under caution.
Yeah, and you knew, as we were watching there, when you were watching Hackathorn there in the 84, they were already under caution, so they're going slow. But you noticed there, Greg, he really slowed down immediately right when he called it. He knew he was going to the back. There was no question about it, but the green flag is back out, and we're racing one more time here to start lap number 14. And out front, fine. Get behind them for about 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. These guys are not taking any prisoners right now, as they're 2, and they almost went 3 wide, but they're going to hang on to it 2 wide right now.
Seth Frazier went for quite the ride there on the initial start in that number 32. Did a nice job gathering the back up and not losing any positions, because he got up in the marbles and he was almost beaching it there up off of turn number 1 in the sand, but was able to gather it back up. The defending champion of the series is Seth Frazier in that number 32, again sporting a new Mike Wood Race Designs paint scheme for the year. Several drivers in the field sporting Mike Wood, as we go on board with 3rd place Nick Bellamy, another driver who just now got the new wrap courtesy of our friend down in Middlesex, North Carolina. Looking back at your defending champion Seth Frazier, Bellamy, of course, the winner at North Wilkesboro earlier in the season. Frazier able to settle it down and get that Dodge wound back up, looking out the back. And this is an awesome shot right here, as you'll see on board with Bellamy. And you see the curb. You can see the uneven ground there on that curb, as Bellamy is able to make his way around as we click laps away. Single file throughout most of the field here in the early stages, Charles. And looks like everything is settled down to about 15th or so, but it's getting dicey back here between Fast Time Ryan Gormley and Garrett Huffines in the number 42, who has already decided, you know what, it's go time. Forget saving tires. I want to get to the front.
Yeah, these guys in the back, they are not playing around at all. They're saying, I got to get to the front, and I'm going to get there now. Again, it's 200 laps. We're on lap 20. You still have a lot of time. You have 180 laps still. But in the grand scheme of things, 180 laps is not a whole lot of time. If we go green, Greg, we're running 15-second lap times. That's 4 laps a minute. We're going to click these laps away in a hurry down here, which is, it's probably good news if you're someone like Wesley Allen here, because I looked at pit road and it zigs and zags and it goes all over the place. So it may be short, but he'd have a little bit of a walk to go back and forth down pit road.
Yeah, you definitely get your cardio in at this racetrack on pit road, just with the shape of the pit stalls here. Top 2 have broken away now from your lead or rest of the field. Josh Washington and Scott Mann have opened it up 1.2 seconds over Nick Bellamy. Frazier and Tidrick, your top 5, as we close in on lap 25 of 200 here, Charles.
And the question is, when are they going to have to come down for fuel? I didn't look up the stats there, but obviously you're going to have to get fuel at some point during this race. Y'all ran 200 laps last season. When was that fuel window there last season?
Negative. We made it 200 laps on fuel, if I recall, on this race, because we were able to stretch it the entire way. I think these guys can make it on fuel, and we're going to see a 200 lap straight shot here in this one, because they did not mention anything about stopping for fuel at any point in the pre-race meeting. So I think we're going to see 200 laps straight on 4 tires.
That is going to be interesting to see. 200 laps on the same set of tires, 200 laps, and that's where I really think we're going to see some issues later on. We've seen those couple of cautions already. I think those are just kind of the warm-up cautions, as I like to call them, getting the feel for the car, getting the feel for the competitors. I think we're going to see the cautions, if we see them, later in the run, and that may have been when you saw them last season around lap 125 or so, Greg, when, you know, the tires get worn out, the cars have less fuel in the rear, and the rear end of that car wants to kick out more. That's, I think, when we're gonna see those cautions, is when that car has no grip and it has nothing holding it, planting it to the ground.
Travis McKinney went off the track up in turn number 3, which is what has just put us under our 3rd caution of the night. And the 48 Rockingham winner last year, he went off of turn number 3. This is him making the pass on Garrett Sisk in the number 1. Right there, just a little bit of contact, followed up by some more, and McKinney goes off into the grass and puts us under our 3rd caution of the night. We wait to see results from the tap out rule.
Yes, he went a little off-roading there, went into the beach, but he will definitely not be at fault for that one. Just got a little bit of a tap, so he got the tap, but it won't be him probably tapping out. Again, we'll have to wait and see if someone does tap out for that one. But early cautions here compared to last season, and really, honestly, this is the most cautions we've seen early in a race here this season, period. Again, a little short track, you know, it's hot track. Tempers are going to be getting heated up pretty quick. You know, if you're these guys up front, though, Greg, what's your mindset? Do you mind these cautions? Because now you get a chance to cool these tires off a little bit and, you know, conserve a little bit, not have to run them under all that strain of green flag racing.
Oh, if I'm up front, I am loving all these cautions, because that's just that less time I have to worry about fending people off. For every caution that comes out, I'm like, okay, that's many more laps I'm up in this position. That's this fewer laps that we have here to worry about. Garrett Sisk did tap out in the number 1. He took an EOL penalty. However, another EOL penalty was given to Cole Raz. Not sure what the call is on Cole Raz. Perhaps Wesley Outland can make his way down to the 21 pit and see if they can talk. He can talk to the crew members and see what's going on and why the 21 of Cole Raz was given an EOL penalty here. I know he was having some connection issues, and that could be what's going on here. But Wesley is on his way down to check with Cole Raz and see if that is indeed the case. Lights are out on the pace car, and it looks like we are going to go single file for the rest of this race, Charles.
Hey, Greg. It's internet connection on Cole Raz on the 21 car. That's the reason why he got an EOL penalty. So a penalty on the 21 for internet connection.
That's what we thought. We were wondering what was going on with Cole Raz. Saw him having those issues earlier as the green flag falls single file. Thank you, Wesley, for that update on Cole. And we'll see if it can sort out. Now, Charles, as we go green, a little interesting tidbit on Cole Raz. He is not at home on his usual sim rig. He is down in Tucson, Arizona. He was down there for the turkey shoot earlier today. He is actually on his real life teammate Brandon Farrington's setup here tonight. So Cole not quite used to Brandon's setup, which is why he was in the B main, and perhaps the connection not quite as strong down in Tucson, Arizona as it is back home in Lake Oswego, Oregon.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like in Arizona, but it may be as hot as it is on this track right now. And, those cables that go delivering that internet, they are susceptible to cold and hot weather. So that is a possibility. But, you know, it's unfortunate for him. We know he's fast. He'll be back on his own setup soon, and he'll be just as good as ever. But, you know, someone I always keep an eye on in the Northwest Cup or Truck Series, and that is Scott Mann, and he is doing a fantastic job right now, running in second place. So is Seth Frazier. They're running down Josh Washington. Those top 3 really, they're not pulled away just yet, but they're starting to. They got about a 3.5, 4-car gap, and they're starting to widen that gap just a little bit more over 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th back there behind them.
Scott Mann has shown a lot of speed here in the Northwest Tour this season, as well the Development Series. The Northwest League, which is what we've officially called it, but it's the development series. He's shown a lot of speed in that as well, and it's transferring over to the Cup Series as well, Charles. He's really beginning to show a lot of power on that side of things as well. So all these good runs he's having on the tour beginning to transfer over into the Northwest Racing Series, which again runs on Mondays and Thursdays. He's sitting second right now behind Josh Washington, Seth Frazier in third, Nick Bellamy, BJ Tidrick, your top 5 right now. Then we find Travis Barnes and Caden Anderson. Anderson in 7th, again, the defending race winner. We've talked about that. But Travis Barnes in the 8th. He actually looks like he may have just gotten passed by... Nope, sorry. He is trying to reel in BJ Tidrick. We have two very, very similar looking cars right there. Number 72 and number 8. You can see right there. Tidrick, of course, sporting the new paint. Painted by the guy right behind him, Caden Anderson. So you can forgive me if I get a little confused on the 8 and the 72, very similar paint schemes. But Barnes, 3 wins on the year last year, including one at Lanier, which is a very similar bull ring to what we see at Oxford here tonight. So I'm keeping my eye on Barnes as well in that number 8 to try to make his way up through the field and be a threat for the win at the end of this one. Washington, Man, Frazier breaking away your top 3. We talked about this track and how unique it is, but a lot of drivers compare this, Charles, to a track like something we see in the Northwest. A lot of drivers compare this track to Hermiston Raceway in Hermiston, Oregon. A very similar layout. 3/8 of a mile is that track. Very, very similar problem with the pavement, old pavement. We got caution. This may be the 4th place car, Nick Bellamy, into number 20. As I thought I saw him going around there, yes, it was. He went around on the inside there, had Tidrick right behind him. I have to take a look at the swag replay and see what happened to put us under our 4th caution of the day.
And that is unfortunate for Bellamy. Again, had a fast car doing real good and possibly a shot. And that's hard to tell there from that angle, but it does look like contact was made. Again, the best way for us to take a look and see is, of course, your All-American Pools drone camera here tonight. And this will be the answer to all those questions. Did he make contact, or was it just that close?
This is coming off turn number 4. Eyes him up right here. Tidrick's gonna get a big run going into 1, and then right there gets it to roll through the center, and yep, just a little bit of contact. Barnes and back up. Now watch Josh Beal cut to the bottom on the inside right there. Nice move by Beal to go down. Got some sand on the tires though, so you're gonna have to be curious if that's gonna affect the 33 at all moving forward. But we're under caution for the 4th time here tonight. BJ Tidrick has tapped out, and an update, Cole Raz has parked it. The connection issues too much to overcome for the number 21 tonight. He will finish in 24th position.
Travis
Yeah,
McKinney,
that's exactly right. And on pit road, guys, is going to be Travis McKinney. McKinney is on pit road for the number 48 machine. A standard stop. Looks like he is adding fuel to the car. Kind of a wonder here because, there was only 2 cautions in the race last year, Greg, and you said they were able to go on a full tank. But this is now the 4th yellow flag in a string of the opening 50 laps. So you see Travis McKinney coming on the pit lane. Obviously, he was involved in earlier caution, but right now he continues going. And again, Cole Raz out because of internet issues. I will try to see if I can grab a word with Cole Taz Raz here in just a moment. He's always a pretty cool guy to talk to, get his thoughts, as again, he is out of the race due to internet connections. Hey, by the way, also a quick change of subject. Greg, it's called Lanier.
We've all... So that's just the Northwest in me with the different pronunciations of certain tracks here in this one. Travis McKinney also getting a little bit of damage repaired on that number 48 as well after being caught up in the incident. So Wesley's going to go down and see if he can catch up with Cole Raz, who's out of the car, as we go green flag racing once again here, Charles, and we're already a quarter of the way in this one.
Yeah, it's it's going real quick here for this tiny little track, which we kind of expected to happen. And, what we keep harping on there a little bit is, seeing how many people. We want to set records for this series. That's what we set out to do. We're roughly at 100 right now. We've been up to 104. Record is 115. We want to get to 125 here tonight, tuning in. All the fans out there are doing an amazing job watching this amazing race here with some green flag racing happening. And, I just have to ask, Greg, does Scott Mann have what he needs to get to this lead? Is he playing, a little bit of mind games right now with Washington? Is he just biding his time? Or is it really going to be that big of a struggle to get by Washington? Is he just that fast of a car here tonight?
I wouldn't say it's mind games per se with Scott Mann. I think it's more on the patience side, knowing, hey, I still got a long way to go. I don't want to use up my stuff just yet. I don't think he's really playing around with him. I think he's more just trying to pick his moment and when he thinks it's going to be best for himself to make a move. We've seen him take a couple sniffs low on Washington, especially on corner entry, Charles. So if I'm in the 90 car right now, I'm not exactly playing mind games, especially at this stage. I'm more just waiting for my opportunity, letting the move come to me. We talked about that on some other broadcasts throughout the months here on LSR TV, especially since we moved into a more short track oriented product. We talk about letting the race come to you in these cars, these super late model cars. And I think that's what Scott Mann's doing right now in that number 90 as we settle down single file.
And Seth Frazier still in third place, really not as close as he was earlier. Again, he could be holding back there, just biding his time. No need to press any issues. And you see, for the most part, is we'll take a look at that, drone view one more time. You see the top five pretty much spread out single file, and we just filtered through this field. And you see just about, well, actually everybody in this field right now, Greg, is single file. Nobody's too concerned with pressing any issues. They had those few cautions, and I'm sure Race Control told them calm it down. They know they need to calm it down, and we're closing in on that halfway point very quickly now that we've seen some green flag racing.
Yeah, now that we're getting some laps clicked away, we're working lap number 63. Right now, and this is what we saw a lot of last season with that 120 lap green flag run. A lot of patience being shown by these drivers. And here's the amazing stat right now here, Charles. We're 64 laps into this race on a 0.38 mile oval. 22 of the 24 cars that took the green flag are still on the lead lap. The only car left in the session that's not on the lead lap is Travis McKinney, who lost the lap on pit road, getting some of that damage repaired in at number 48. Other than that, we would have all 23 cars on the lead lap, but McKinney just wasn't able to get up to speed before that pace car worked its way by and he fell a lap down. The good news for him is he would be in the lucky dog position if he does catch another caution here tonight. But that might not last much longer, because look up ahead of the number 06, about a straightaway ahead, you're going to find Bryce Beatty in the 07, who is having kind of a rough start here to this race. There he is in the 07, got caught up in two incidents earlier, and unfortunately neither of them you would say were his fault, because he got contact from behind both times. Just has not had the race that he wants. He's in danger right now of going a lap down to Washington, but it's quite a ways back to McKinney. So the bright spot for him would be, he is in a good spot for a lucky dog. You go on board with race leader Josh Washington in number 06, and racing street stocks and legends here a lot over the course of the pandemic. I learned one thing: Josh Washington, very, very good at this racetrack. So I'm not surprised at all to see him up here leading laps in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, he's from the north. You can't get much more north than a name like Washington, but, he's right there. He is battling with second place Scott Mann. Although Scott Mann's fallen back just a little bit, like you mentioned, he's going to be catching the next lap car, Bryce Beatty, here in a minute. And could this be what Scott Mann is waiting for as we did back to him? Could he be waiting for some lap cars to come in and use them as a pick? And, that's always an option. Plus, you have to wonder, when is that outside groove going to come in? When is someone going to start trying to lay a little bit of rubber down there so they can try to use it to get by with somebody maybe on the outside?
Well, I'm starting to see, look like Scott Mann tried it a little bit there, maybe not by his intention, but I'm starting to see drivers throughout the field. We get a caution here as Josh Beal and I believe BJ Tidrick having contact. This is up in turn number 2, but I was starting to see a couple of guys poke their nose just a little bit higher, a little bit as this race progressed on. Taking a look at the replay, there's one of them right there, Josh Beal. You notice he's going a little bit higher on corner entry. Tidrick going higher up in the corner. They're starting to break it in, but right there, a little bit of contact between Beal and Tidrick, and Beal gets tapped from behind by McKinney, and fortunately, go yellow once again. And once again, it's going to be the aerial coverage that tells the story here.
Yeah, and this one was interesting. Right there's the shot, and then there's another shot. So, you know, this is where you the tap out rule really can get a bit confusing for people, because you know, you had the 3 cars. Technically 2 people got spun, but technically, depending on how you look at it, the first tap was the cause of the caution, the way you might think about it. And you know, do you count the second one as part of it, or was that a result of the first tap happening?
That is something the review board is going to have to determine. Josh Beal has tapped into number 33. That part is conclusive. He has tapped. The thing with McKinney is, did that play a role in the caution coming out? That's something the review board is going to have to review. As of now, McKinney is not tapping, and he was the only car 1 lap down. Unfortunately, he was involved, so I am not sure if he would get the lucky dog because he did have contact in that. No, he will not receive the lucky dog because of the contact there, and he has a lot of damage on the right front now. But as far as whether or not there should have been a tap out there, that's going to have to go to the review board.
Hey guys, I'm on pit road with Seth Frazier. Seth right now in the 32 car in the number 3 position. Of course, if you all know the last Northwest Cup Series event in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs, he won and advances into the Championship 4 finale at Phoenix. How's things going today so far at Oxford Plains? You're sitting comfortably in 3rd.
It's going good so far. There's some fast cars behind me though, so we'll see what happens.
So what's the strategy here? We got about 125 laps to go. A lot more cautions than last year as well.
Just try to survive.
All right, there's the thoughts of Seth Frazier. We're coming back to green.
Going green flag racing here once again. And again, Washington able to break away. Frazier right behind in that number 32 of Scott Mann trying to get a run. But look who has worked his way up in the 4th here, Charles. Last year's winner of this race, Caden Anderson, the number 37. He's worked his way around Travis Barnes and has worked his way up into 4th place. Brock Denny and Dylan Huffines making way through the field as well. Denny, of course, having a breakout run for him in the Northwest Tour. Another guy who turned a lot of laps here at Oxford. But I want to talk about Huffines for a moment in that number 7 car. And we talked about this being one of Josh Washington's best track. This is the best track of Dylan Huffines right here in the number 7. Finished 3rd in this race last year. Won a lot, and I mean a lot, of races here at Oxford over the course of the summer in various cars, from legend cars, street stocks, to super late models, pro late models. Dylan Huffines has won in just about everything he's competed in at this racetrack. So a lot of people were pointing to this number 7 car as having a shot at the victory, a legitimate shot at the victory here tonight. And by the way, he is +6 right now. Started 13th after qualifying 2nd with EO Wells assessed, of course, to the top 3 from last week. He's already up 6 positions to 7th. Keep your eyes on the 7 car moving forward.
Yeah, and he's definitely moving forward. And, you know, you really have to watch for these guys making passes. As, again, they've single plowed out. They're not pressing issues. They're just biding their time and, you know, making passes as they can. You know, I gotta lie, Greg, when we first came here, I figured we'd see a few cautions. I figured we might even see someone try to go BMX style off of one of these little dirt hills here. That has not been the case at all. Thus, this whole entire series hasn't been that way with short track racing. I know, you know, the fans out there that are just tuning in, they think of short track racing, you think of beating and banging, caution fest usually. That has not been the case here tonight. That has not been the case all season, as we do have some 2-wide racing back here. And, of course, it is Dylan Huffines making his way past Bart Hector Jr., So Hector there trying to hang on, but I just don't know if it's going to work. That outside lane may be coming into its own and being able to make some passes here.
Well, Dilly was actually up in front of Hector, got loose, and Hector was able to get around him in the 82. And now we're seeing that the outside lane still is not there yet because Dilly is being freight trained as his brother Garrett gets around him, following Chris Carroll by. And Ryan Gormley, quick time tonight, he's going to try to get by as well. So that outside lane still not there. And Huffines is kind of stuck up there right now. He's all of a sudden fallen well outside the top 10 after being up in 7th. Dylan Huffines is in trouble right now in the 7, trying to get himself back down. B-main winner Jason Day trying to get around him now. Huffines might try to force the issue here and get down in front of Isaiah Gill. Nope. Gill's going to follow suit as well. Next up will be Levi Allen in the number 41. So Huffines might have an opportunity to get down here if he can. Yes, he will be able to fall in, but boy, Dylan Huffines went from 7th to 13th right there on the outside as he broke loose after something happened up in front of him. I think Travis Barnes broke loose in turn 3, and they all checked up. Huffines broke loose as well, and he kind of pushed up the track a little bit in the process of it, trying to save it, and that was when Hector was able to get by and work his way up in the 7th, and now all that work that Huffines had gotten done, he now has to do all over again.
Yeah, no, you're right there. I thought he was trying to make a move on the outside. You were absolutely correct. He got moved to the outside essentially there, had to get there, and that was a bad spot to be. It did not benefit him in any way. One thing I do want to point out now is we watched this Fields race here, single file, with a little bit of that going on. Here comes Caden Anderson to Seth Frazier. He's going to get by him. But look how much darker it is here, Greg. The sun is setting. Those lights will be coming on soon. And this race that was under the day of the sun, it's going to be under the lights here soon.
No, it's not, Charles. There are no lights at this racetrack, so they are trying to get this in as quickly as they can. A cloud has covered the sun. That's what's going on right now. The sun is setting, yes, but a cloud has covered it, so the track is cooling off as a result of this. It's down to 102 degrees, so there are no lights at this racetrack. You can see the lights on the infield there on top of the dirt mounds, but that's not enough to light this racetrack. So these drivers are racing the sun right now here tonight, trying to get this 200 lap race in before it gets too dark, because there are no exterior lights at this racetrack and we would not be able to compete at nighttime, which is why we set this race for an early afternoon race. Cloud cover coming into play here for the time being.
Yeah, that is very trickery, and I declare that is a mulligan for me, because, again, this is the first race that LSR TV has ever covered this track, and I see lights. I assume we have day or nighttime racing. Who knew that this race did not have lights, even though they're clearly there? Apparently, they just piled up piles of dirt and stuck poles in them and said, okay, those are no, we don't need no lights here at this track. But regardless of that, a cloud is rolling over. Of course, the sun is setting. It always does with dynamic weather here in daytime. But you can see right there, it's fairly down. But, that cloud is going to pose a problem here for these guys, especially if, it gets a little darker and clouds roll over. That definitely poses a problem for these drivers, as it makes it harder to see.
It does. It really begins to affect your visibility, and you don't really realize it until you're at a track with lights when the sun's coming down, kind of like it is right now, or the cloud cover comes on. You don't really notice how dark it is until those lights come on, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I did not even realize it. We'll have to see if we can talk about scheduling a race at a track that has lights in that situation where the sun comes down and the lights come on throughout the course of the race. We'll have to talk to the powers that be in charge of making the schedule and see if we can schedule one at a track that has lights where that is what happens, where the sun comes down. Yes, Wesley.
And guess what? There, real little history lesson on the Oxford Plains Speedway with a real Oxford 250 in that track. It does have lights now. The track does have lights today in Maine, but when iRacing unveiled this track a couple of years ago, however long it's been. The simulation when they did the blueprint of the track, lasered it did not have lights. Lights have just recently been installed at Oxford Plains in the last 3 to 5 years. So again, this track used to not have lights. It used to race in the daytime, and that's the type of version we're racing on iRacing, but the track does have lights now.
Thank you, Wesley. And to follow up with that, talking about how long ago the track was scanned, Oxford Plains is one of your basic rookie tracks, if you will. The rookie series on the oval side are street stocks and legends, and Oxford is one of those tracks that legend cars race at. The street stocks go there too, but the rookie street stock class does not go there. They only alternate between the 1.5 mile Charlotte Speedway and the 3/4 mile USA Speedway. Legend cars, they race at various short tracks throughout. One of them is Oxford, one of those tracks that rookies get their start at, including every single driver in this series as they work their way up into super late models. They all raced legends here at Oxford. Myself, I've even turned some laps in a legend car at Oxford. I've got some wins at this racetrack. I know what it means to drive at this racetrack and know what it feels like, and it's definitely a difficult little racetrack. And with that sun going down, hiding behind the cloud, it can definitely mess up your visibility here. And we see Anderson closing in on Washington. We're past halfway. By the way, we were so caught up in that discussion about the weather and the lights that we missed the halfway point. Anderson has caught up to Washington, who has clinched most laps led here tonight as he took the lead on lap 2 and has not looked back since. But lap traffic coming into play for the first time here tonight. Anderson going to get right up on the back bumper as they get by Beal. And now going after Bryce Beatty in the 07 will be next up. Pass for third as Scott Mann able to get back around Seth Frazier. Travis Barnes and company have lost contact with this group. And Brock Denny wants to get around Barnes in that number 64 with Hector right behind him, and Denny peaking really low there off of turn number 2. So Brock Denny has decided go time now in that number 64.
Yeah, and another thing you have to factor into this is we're on board with Washington right now. You can start to see a little bit of buildup on his windshield. There is not a lot, maybe 1 or 2 specks of rubber, black debris on there. Now you go back to someone like Caden Anderson, who's been behind some of the whole race. Look how you have this buildup starting to build up on there. The darker it gets here, that windshield not being cleared is going to play a factor as well. The more it builds up on there, and again, if you don't take pit stops here, Greg, that is not going to get torn off. It's just going to keep building and building. All that rubber and debris that's on that shield there, the screen there, that's going to make it difficult to see as well.
And that's another thing that you don't really notice as a driver until you get into a situation where you're trying to see and feel out the guy in front of you. You're like, man, it's hard to see what's going on up here. That's one of those things that Anderson's dealing with right now as you see him trying to size him up. But that's not going to help either. Washington having connection issues. That's what took Cole Raz out of the race. And I've been noticing it a little bit here and there with Washington here today. Really beginning to have those issues in that number 06. And if you're Anderson, that's a scary thought, because now you're not only trying to figure out where to pass him, you're also trying to put yourself in a position where you're not going to run into trouble if something happens to the 06 and he blinks out and he blinks right back right where you are, because all of a sudden you don't know where he's going for a minute. So Anderson being very patient right now, kind of just letting Washington run his race so Anderson can figure out what he's going to do and what his move is going to be, because he does not want to get caught in a bad position if he has those connection issues while Anderson's trying to make the pass.
Yeah, you definitely do not want that as we watch that battle. We did have one coming down pit road. That is Joshua Beal, as he is going to hit the thing there, and he is coming down pit road, and he is going to park it there, and his night looks to possibly be done. He was on pit road, but parked it before he ever made it to a stall.
Well, his dad Brad and a couple pit crew drivers or other pit crew members there chatting about the number 33, and Josh Beal kind of just yelling at them, hey, come on, get working on this race car. But unfortunately, it looks like some radio communications, and they're kind of just so lost in conversation they didn't even realize that Josh had pulled into the pits. Going back to our lead here as Anderson, you see him peaking lower and lower and lower here each time on Josh Washington, trying to size him up and figure out his move. Does he want to use this lap traffic that's coming up as well as a pick? We've seen that work a couple times already. Is that what Anderson is waiting for? At number 37, oh, he gives a little bit of a bump to the number 06 of Washington. He might want him to hurry up and make his move as he tries it to the inside here. Anderson off turn number 2 to the door of Washington. Gets the nose in front. Got him off of turn number 4. Caden Anderson to the lead at Oxford. And he timed that perfectly, Charles, because Scott Mann was beginning to close in.
Yeah, and that's something you have to do. You have to time everything perfectly at a track like this. One thing you can use to your advantage here, Greg, is look at all this debris and junk that's up on the top. If you can force someone up on the track out of that groove and get them into that loose junk up at the top, they're going to have to slow down. They're going to have to check up just a bit to get out of that, because that is all the loose marbles and debris and junk that you don't want on your tires. And if you can just kind of get under someone just enough to kind of force them up there, then you're good. You've got to check up if you get up there, and I think that's what helped Caden Anderson just a little bit.
We saw that come into play big time in the B main, and that was a 60 lap race. We're sitting here 127 laps into this 200 lap race, and those marbles are really beginning to become noticeable, and you're seeing drivers begin to get stuck up there and try to make headway on the inside by forcing, like you said, drivers to go up there to pass for position. We saw it right there, right in front of the race leaders. Bryce Beatty was able to get under Nick Bellamy and force Bellamy up into the marbles, and Bellamy had to let off the throttle to let Beatty go by in the 07. That's for position. The final cars on the lead lap right now, they're battling for 19th position, but the leaders are coming, and Beatty was able to get Bellamy up in those marbles for just a moment, and you see just how quickly he was able to pull away.
And, we've had a long green flag run so far here. I'm not sure what it is, but it's been well over 100 laps. So, Greg, you talked about last season how we had, or y'all had, I wasn't here, obviously, but y'all had a 125 lap green flag run at the start. Then you had some cautions. This race has really been the complete opposite. We had those few cautions at the beginning. Now we're seeing the long green flag run.
Yeah, 2 cautions last year in this race as opposed to 5 already tonight. Bart Eckert Jr., by the way, just got shuffled up in the marbles, and he got freight trained all the way back to 12th after being up in the 7th position at one point. Oh, bottleneck in front of him. Garrett Huffines, Chris Carroll and company having a little get-together back there. Off of turn number 4, they all are able to keep it going, but keeping it steady for right now. Saw a question in the chat from Ed Cathy asking who the biggest mover is. That would be the number 42 of Garrett Huffines. He started shotgun on the field in 24th, up to 7th now in the number 42. So, plus, doing some quick math in my head, I've got plus 17 for Garrett Huffines right now.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any come in, so I want to remind everyone one more time. Remember to snag that photo, share your seat, show us how you're watching, who you're watching with. Again, this is not just to keep having you send us photos. Each week there are prizes on the line, so again, make sure you get those pictures. Tag the iRacing Northwest Tour and LSR TV. Tag us, don't PM it to us, tag us in it, make it public so we can all see it. But again, tag it, let us know where you're watching from, who you're watching with, and how you're watching, whether it be a 27-inch monitor or I think we've seen up to like 72-inch TVs, Greg.
All kinds of different ways to watch this race. Make sure you tag both iRacing Northwest Tour and LSR TV. Seth Frazier now falls victim to the marbles as he got shoved up there in the number 32. You saw it on screen there. He's now getting freight trained on the outside. Brock Denny was able to get around him to move in the 4th position, and Frazier, who was sitting in 4th, got as high as 3rd at one point. He is now falling outside the top 10.
And yes, the last thing you want to do is just fall like a freight train. But that's unfortunately what will happen. And it is unfortunate when you fall down like that. One thing it is doing is Seth Frazier gets way high into it. Every time somebody gets shoved up there, though, it's bad for them, but in the overall, they are laying rubber down there. You saw last time, and the car was stuck up there for about 12 laps. Each lap, he was laying rubber down there. Eventually, somebody's going to get stuck out there, and it's not going to be stuck. They're actually going to have some rubber up there. And I say that loosely, actually, because we're already on lap 142, less than 60 laps to go. Even by the time somebody could get up there and there be some rubber, it may not be with enough time to actually do anything.
At this point, I think you kind of made your bed right now and you're stuck on the inside. I don't think there's enough time left to try to make an outside groove come in. We saw drivers in practice testing the water. Dylan Huffines was one of those guys who was working there to see if he could work in a second groove in practice. Unfortunately, did not work out for him, and he's kind of stuck in the freight train right now, sitting in 10th position. Oh, Brock Denny in trouble of losing ground up there, as he is in trouble of getting pinned on the freight train, but he's able to fight off Chris Carroll in the number 97 and hold on to it. Nice job by Denny, who almost fell victim there to that one. Nice job by the 64, the Tucker Dog Special, able to get around and get back down in front of Carroll before something happened.
Yeah, this is one of those racetracks that I do firmly believe, Greg, where you have to use the chrome horn a little bit. You don't wreck the car in front of you. But rubbing is racing. Wrecking's not, but rubbing is. And if you have to rub that back bumper a little bit, just enough to get them a little bit loose and make them have to slide up the track, that's what you have to do sometimes. Again, you don't wreck them, you just rub them a little bit. And I believe the phrase, rubbing is racing, son. So you sometimes at a track like this, one groove, you just got to do what you got to do.
Well, the good news is next week, it's not going to be like that, because we got a preview of what we can expect on Wednesday night with the Outlaw Esports Late Model Series, because next week we're headed to Five Flags, the Snowball Derby, about an hour after the real race goes checkered in Pensacola, Florida. We're going to run our own 300-lap Snowball Derby here for the Northwest. Here's the thing, Charles. Caden Anderson, he's not going to be in there next week because he's going to be down in Pensacola, Florida. He's going to be at the real Snowball. Casey Garber, the Iowa winner, not here tonight. He won't be there either because he's already down in Pensacola, Florida at the Snowball Derby. So we're going to have one race winner already, and the way it's looking right now, unless something happens, possibly two race winners not in the field because they're at the real Snowball hanging out watching the real show. But that's going to open it up wide open next week for the Snowball Derby, the other crown jewel, if you will, of the season here in the Northwest Tour. Back-to-back crown jewels here, and Caden Anderson, a winner of the Oxford 200 last year, sitting pretty right now as we're at the three-quarter mark. But he's not going to be in the Snowball Derby next week because he's going to be down in Pensacola at the real one as well. Iowa winner Ken Garber already down in Pensacola.
And if I'm not mistaken, we won't have our pit reporter that week either. He's going to be down in Pensacola, Florida. I know because I was celebrating.
Possibly I will be here, guys.
It all depends on when the checkered flag falls.
Greg keeps saying that it's going to be like an hour after the race is over. The green flag for the Snowball Derby is at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. So
it's noon our time, so
if
unless
that
race takes 6 hours.
Right, and I don't see it I never foreshadow it seeing lasting 6 hours, but hey, it's the Derby, anything can happen. But if it finishes at a decent time, yes, I will be here as pit reporter.
You mean to tell me I bought the We're Gonna Miss You Wesley cake to eat for nothing?
Oh, that's all right. You forgot my birthday present anyway.
Okay, we're gonna eat that cake anyways.
The tension in this booth right now is astonishing.
No, it's all good, guys. Hey, look at Caden Anderson. You know, we've seen him struggle on of course, the iRacing Super Late Model Tour here the last couple of Sundays. We've seen him also on the Northwest Cup and Truck Series throughout the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. Come so close to winning, and something happened to getting him snake bit. Bad luck. Could everything, like I said when we were introducing the lineup, everything come together for Caden Anderson right now? Everything's perfect for him. He's got 42 laps to go. And again, this green flag run is about to approach 115 laps.
Battle beginning to brew for third. Scott Mann, he has caught the curb a couple of times, and what that has done is allowed the freight train to catch up to him, led by Brock Denny in the number 64. So Scott Mann could be in trouble here in a moment if Denny can get underneath him, because we might see the freight train take effect once again as you watch Anderson taking by in the 37. But let's see if we can pick up third place Scott Mann, because he has fallen way off the pace and is now under pressure from Brock Denny. And there it is, Brock Denny bringing the number 64 up to third. So Denny looking for his first career podium here in Northwest Tour competition, but Chris Carroll right behind him. 40 laps to go, and look at how quickly things change for Scott Mann, Charles, because he was in third. He has already fallen outside of the top 10.
Yeah, you talk about like a super speedway. And as much as I do not like super speedways, or, as I call them, cookie cutter tracks, plate racing like that has what is called the sucker hole. When you get in the middle and you just get freight trained to the back. We don't really have that here, but we almost have like could we call it the sucker lane? You get outside on that outside lane and you're just a sucker. You're going straight to the back.
I think that's exactly what we've seen here in this one. Oh, contact between Carroll and Denny, but that actually helped Brock Denny a little bit. The shot in the rear from Carroll came at such a perfect time. Oh, we got problems. Isaiah Gill caught the berm and hopped over it.
No caution as he's going to go off the road in just a little bit.
Gotta be careful here. Fine line, able to get it going, but man, Isaiah Gill up in the top 10, and unfortunately that's going to end any shot he had as he goes a lap down into number 14, and he's just going to ride it out right now to just try to get back onto the racing surface and time it right. There it is, but the caution does come out. It just barely picked him up.
That is unfortunate, and we're going to go back and look because we know what the caution was for, but I want to look at something here. We'll go take a look at this. Okay, so you see him. He just went through the grass and the dirt a little bit. Look at this. Look at all the dirt. It's hard to tell. There was dirt coming out behind his car even after he got on to the racing surface. So that's what I wanted to point out is even if he had got going up to speed, I really think the caution being thrown was a lifesaver for him, because with all that dirt and grime on those tires, especially after being as hot as they probably were, there was a good chance he would have spun out, and if he had done that in front of somebody else, that would have been disastrous for a lot more people.
Would have been a complete disaster for Isaiah Gill in the number 14. Remember, he was one of those drivers who was up in the mix at Iowa last week, but ran out of fuel late and was having a nice solid run. Had been in the top 10 virtually all day, and here it is having issues once again late in the race. As we're under caution, we're going to take our one and only shot to thank a couple of our sponsors here. Under caution here, we're going to set it up for the finish. When we come back, you're watching the Oxford 200 presented by Sarge's Veteran Service here on LSR TV and CRN Sports. Back at Oxford for the finish. Sarge's Veteran Services 200 here on LSR TV and CRN Sports. Round number 4, the iRacing.com Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products. Green flag back in the air. Caden Anderson, defending winner of this race, looking for 2 in a row in this competition. Trying to break away from Josh Washington. And Brock Denny, he's trying to get around Washington. Denny looking for his career best finish in that number 64. Was able to break away from Chris Carroll. Garrett Huffines was peeking to the high side as well, as Carroll, I think, spun the tire tires on the start there, Charles.
Yeah, he definitely did. And, you know, I want to quickly point out here as we're watching these battles start to brew here just a little bit. We had about a 20-minute pre-show. We've only actually been racing. Well, actually, with the pace laps there in the grid, we have been racing less than an hour for 200 laps here at Oxford Plains.
It has been a crazy one here tonight at Oxford Plains. Very similar to what we saw last year in this race. And again, we see Aiden Anderson up front late. Going to be 25 laps to go here in the 37. Washington having another breakout performance as well. A couple drivers having career runs here in the number 06 and the 64. How about the guy in 6? We haven't mentioned Jason Day a whole lot this evening tonight, Charles. That number 52 card was the B main winner, and here he is. He has worked his way up into 6th position in that gray and orange number 52 with some black in there as well, right behind Garrett Huffines. Jason Day, B main winner, up to 6th. Great job for him tonight.
Yeah, Jason Day doing a fantastic job. Again, some really clean racing here tonight. And you can see right there on Jason Day's cars. So let's go just in front of him, the Garrett Huffines. And so you can go back to his gearbox cams. You can see all the debris you see on the track. You can see it on his hood as well as it's building up there as well. And it looks like that cloud that was here rolled over as well. And the sun has popped back up here for these last 20 or so laps. That is definitely good for these drivers as they want to see the sun out. However, Greg, the track temp has actually still dropped another 2 degrees from 131 to 100 degrees.
Yeah, it is sitting at an even 100. It got as low as 99, but it climbed back up as the race progressed. So the track temperature has kind of been flirting with the triple digits for most of it. It just went up another one to 101, but it got as high as 131 at the start of this race, and it cooled off just a little bit here throughout the course of the race as the drivers really beginning. I'm noticing something with the groove that we didn't see a moment ago, Charles. Notice right on the curb, it's starting to phase back out. Drivers have moved their line up half a groove to avoid hitting that curb. So you're starting to see them scoot just a little bit higher on the corner. They're trying to avoid that curb right now and not set up later in this race, or not set themselves up for problems late in the race, as there's going to be 15 laps to go. Not this time, but next time. But they're trying to avoid that curb as much as they can right now.
Yeah, and again, you're not getting just because they're moving up, as we are talking about, it doesn't mean that outside groove is coming in. It just means they're not wanting to get quite as close to the inside lane. And here they're definitely doing it. And so, you know, I want to take here, we use that blimp a lot, or the drone camera. Here in this case, it's the drone. You could see the black groove where everybody's running, and look out here, it's not near as low. You see there's that lighter spot right below it. Now let's follow them along into this one, and it's a little bit closer, but it's still pretty low. But Anderson, it really is running a lot lower than, say, if you go back here and look at like Washington and these guys. They're running a little bit higher, so I think maybe Anderson has found something these others haven't, and it's definitely showing as he has checked out with a 1.7 second lead with 13 laps to go. We make it 12.
Anderson trying to click laps away. It would be his 4th career tour victory if he can hold on, but first in over a year. All 3 of those came in the first 5 races last season. Still looking for that first win of season 4. Brock Denny under heavy pressure from Chris Carroll right now in the number 64. Under pressure from the 97. Garrett Huffines lurking there as well. How about a shout to Garrett Huffines? We talked about Jason Day winning the B main and working his way up to 6th. Garrett Huffines had to start on a provisional in this race, and here he is in the top 5, showing you just how much the Huffines brothers love this racetrack. They finished 2nd and 3rd to Anderson last year respectively. Here's Garrett once again in the top 5. Great performance from Garrett tonight in the 42.
Yeah, he is doing his best here, giving it his all. And remember, earlier he was involved in a little bit of a wreck. He didn't get a whole lot of damage, as you can see it right there on the front. That may have not come from that incident. He got hit about square in the door panel, so there was a little damage, but he has managed to recover from that. And like you said, trying to get his first win in Season 4, that is Caden Anderson. And Anderson is out front right now. 7 laps to go. As here soon you'll see the flagman wave his hand out. 5 to go, as he's going to come take 6 to go this time by.
He's opened it up 2.5 seconds over Josh Washington. Right now, Washington just trying to hold on and hold off Brock Denny and company behind him and try not to get freight trained for 5.5 more laps. Caden Anderson gets the 5 from Barney on the flag stand. 5 laps to go. It's a battle for second now as Washington trying to pull away from Brock Denny. But again, the connection issues beginning to once again creep up in the 0-6.
Yeah, and that's
Denny,
the last thing you want.
Yeah, and Denny realizes it. He realizes he has a shot at the second right now. He wants this second place here in the number 64. Oh, contact! Huffines and Carroll! And we got a bottleneck behind, and we stay green for the time being.
That's that.
And
Yep,
the
there's
caution.
oh. And you know, well, this is
This is
one
gonna
we
set
have
up
to
a green, white
look
checker.
at. All right, let's go
He's going to
look
set
at
up a
this.
green, white checker, but this started right there. You saw this, saw just after the start of this.
Yeah, so we're watching again. You're watching the 52, and again, this is where the tap out rule is really going to come into play.
You're gonna want to watch the 97 and the 42 in front of them. That's where this starts. The blue 97 and the black 42, right there.
So the 42 and the 97, they start all this per se. This is when the caution comes out, and then you just
Right
see
there,
the pile up.
Sisk piles in. All right, Garrett Huffines is tapped in the number 42. He is tapped out in the number 42. So after such a great run for Huffines in the 42, unfortunately, it's a tap out that drops into the tail end of the field. We wait to see anyone else tapping on this one.
Yeah,
But
and again,
Huffines tapped on the 42.
that's where the you know, it's kind of an honor system. Yes, if you technically want to get down to it, the 42, creeping back onto the track caused the actual caution flag to be triggered by the flagman. However, him being down there was a side product of the incident prior to that. Even though it didn't bring out a caution, there is why, of course, you see, as you mentioned, that the 42 of Huffines tapped out, because technically it didn't bring that incident and bring out the caution, but it was kind of all under one umbrella. It was just all part of one continuous, incident that finally led to a caution after they were clear of it.
Tap out rule in effect. And remember, all cautions go to review board despite whether or not someone taps. They all go to review board to see if anyone else should have tapped on that one. But the lights are out on the pace car, setting up our one and only green-white checkered attempt. This is it. This is the race. Anderson, Washington, Denny, Gormley, and Carroll came home in 5th. How about Ryan Gormley in the number 44? Has slowly worked his way into the top 5 here. He got the quick time tonight. We'll see if he can try to steal a podium as the pace car ducks in. 2-lap shootout. Here's the side of the Oxford, and Caden Anderson is gone. He is not going to let this one go away on the green-white checkered as he gets out to the lead. And this is going to be a battle for 4th as Gormley kind of pushed up the track a little bit. Carroll was able to take a peek, but the CRN 1 to go is out, and Caden Anderson just has to hold on one more time.
Yeah, 1 lap to go with the CRN 1 to go. And I have a feeling unless something drastic happens, he's going to have this again, his first win here on the season. And yes, he will do it as he kicks it sideways coming across the line.
Back-to-back Oxford 200s. Caden Anderson picking up his 4th career iRacing.com Northwest Tour victory, his first of Season 4 and 2nd straight here at Oxford, finally snapping that year-long win streak. Anderson Off once again to a great start. He finally breaks through and gets that win, and no doubt he's excited in that number 37 car as he is gonna burn it down here on the front stretch. His 4th career victory.
Big celebration on pit road, guys, for the drivers of the 37 of Caden Anderson. He struggled for a long time, came close about 3 weeks ago, winning at Iowa Speedway. Got snake bit there, close to winning on the Northwest Cup Truck Series programs as well. But finally, gentlemen, 2 years in a row, Caden Anderson wins at Oxford Plains Speedway.
Awesome job by Caden Anderson to put it up here in this one. As you see there, your top 3. How about it for Josh Washington and Brock Denny as well to round out the podium here tonight in this one? A big one for these 3 drivers. All 3 of them get their first podiums of the season. As let's take a look now at the unofficial race results presented by Sawblade.com. It is Caden Anderson going back-to-back in the Oxford 200 with a win here tonight, his first of the season. Josh Washington leads the most laps and comes home in 2nd. Brock Denny, a career best finish on the tour for him as well. He finishes 3rd. Brian Gormley and Chris Carroll, another top 5 for the 97. They finish 4th and 5th. Dylan Huffines able to recover for 6th. Bart Ector Jr. keeps his top 10 streak alive with a 7th place finish tonight. Scott Mann, Levi Allen, and defending champ Seth Frazier round out the top 10.
Yeah, and 11th going to be BJ Tidbrick. A little further back than I thought he wanted to finish, but a good run for him. Travis Barnes in 12th. Garrett Sisk, who was involved in at least one caution there at the end. Unfortunately, no doing his own. Will finish in 13th, followed by Gary Smith. Bryce Beatty, who just didn't have the day he wanted, but still got a top 15 out of the whole ordeal. Followed by Garrett Huffines, Isaiah Gill, Jason Day, Matt Hackathorn involved in 2 cautions, I do believe, and Nick Bellamy in the number 20 in 20th spot. And of course, rounding out the rest of your field, going to be the 48 of Travis McKinney, Joshua Bill, Cameron Doyle, and Cole Raz, who again didn't really have a bad day per se, just a connection issue. The car ran fine, just not the connection to the server. In his case, unfortunate. Didn't really get to see how the car would run, but that's just unfortunate for Cole Raz.
No doubt Cole will be looking for some redemption next week in Pensacola, Florida. But we've wrapped it up here at Oxford. We're going to take a quick break to thank some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 here tonight. Here from Oxford, Caden Anderson gets it done back-to-back years in the Oxford 200. We'll catch up with our podium here in just a moment here on LSR TV and CRN Sports. Back at Oxford for tonight's post-race show here on LSR TV. As you see, your top 2 still sitting there, Caden Anderson and Brock Denny. A big one here tonight as the field came home. 1, 2, 3 for Anderson, Denny, and Washington. And Wesley Allen has caught up with the driver of the Tucker Dog Special, Brock Denny.
So we have the driver there of Brock Denny. He'll He'll settle for a number 3 position. Brock, what's your take of the race, bud? Third place, a very caution-filled event to start things. Then there was that long green flag run. Then there was that shootout. Did you ever think you could get up to try to catch Anderson for the win?
Man, I don't know if anybody had anything for Anderson, but I do think if we didn't have that green-white checkered, I think I could have made a move on Josh, but that green-white checker did not play in my favor.
What's your take of the race? How your car felt today? How you stayed out of trouble and were able to get on the podium?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to throw down a pretty decent qualifying lap. I was pretty happy with it, so I got to start up front. Then, man, I just cruised, tried to stay out of everything. I mean, a couple times there it got pretty dicey. I got into the back of Caden there early on a couple times. Then that long green flag run, man, the car got super tight. I did everything I could to hold Carroll behind me. And, yeah, it liked the colder tires, but, yeah, that green-white checker just definitely didn't help me.
Well, it's off to the Snowball Derby virtually, real for me, next Sunday. Actually, this Tuesday I'll leave out, but the virtual Snowball Derby for the iRacing Northwest Super Late Model Series presented by Joe's Racing Products. You'll be at that one. And real quickly, before I let you go, thank your sponsors on this car today here at Oxford Plains.
Well, yeah, I think we all want to be you going to the real Snowball Derby next week. But, yeah, I mean, I think I got my real-life sponsors, Diamond S Trailers watching. I want to thank him for all he does. Jerry's Saloon. And then I got to thank my spotter. He's the best spotter in the league. I know he's got some pretty bad luck. We've had some bad runs, but Tucker, he's sitting right behind me. He's pretty excited right now.
Tucker.
All right, well, there's Brock again finishing up with the number 3 position here at Oxford Plains. And standing by is now Charles Wooten with the runner-up. The driver is, of course, Josh Washington in 06.
Well, you gave him a good run for the money, Josh. You come in second, you led some laps. In the end, Anderson was able to get by you. But, I want to talk a little bit about how good the racing was and really about how that battle was. You held Anderson off for a long time. When he finally got by you, obviously you didn't let him by, but, you made him work for it. But how hard was it when you got onto that outside lane? Do you almost have to lift a little bit to just, let him by and get back down as quick as you can to not lose any more spots up on the high side?
Oh, yeah, especially here. I mean, if you get pushed up to the outside and you pretty much have no chance. I tried to stick with them for a corner, but I knew if I tried to stay out door to door with them, it wasn't going to happen. I seen him coming there on the leaderboard. I know he's fast. He gave me one bumper there and through the corner, and I knew if I didn't get out of his way, it probably would have ended pretty bad. So I let him go. Tried to save some tires. I knew there was going to be a late restart, but I was just doing everything I can there. Like Denny said there, that last restart, I think he would have got me if we wouldn't have went into that last green-white checkered. I was doing everything I could to stay in front of him and on the bottom.
Well, it was a great race, an interesting race, a lot of marbles being thrown around this track, and that's where my next question for you here is going to come in, is talking about how many marbles were on the top, the bottom, everywhere, all over this track. You didn't have any sets of tires other than what you started this race on. How worn out were those tires, and how badly would you have loved to get some fresh rubber on those on the car here tonight?
I think fresh tires would have been awesome there towards the end, but it makes it fun when everybody's in the same boat, So my right front was down in the 30s, so I don't know what everybody else was.
There you have it. Again, and for the ones that are wondering, 30s, that is 30%. Getting close to basically running on the rim probably at that point, but hang on to second place here tonight. Any sponsors on that car you need to thank for making it as fast as it is?
Definitely my grandpa, Leonard's Automotive. He builds all the horsepower, and Jimmy John's for the Freaky Fast machine.
Well, there you have it. Go celebrate with some sub. If they're open, it's about what, an 8:45 there. I'm not sure if they're still open or not, but definitely can grab you one tomorrow if not. And it does take us to our race winner, the 37 of Caden Anderson, and I believe that Greg, you have caught up with him in Victory Lane.
And Caden, we talked a little bit about it Friday night, I believe it was, when you said, hopefully I can defend and go back to back. Well, my friend, you did just that, getting the lead with 82 laps to go and not looking back. First win of the season, but it's your second straight in the Oxford 200. You remain the only driver to win a feature event at this racetrack in tour competition. Another win for you here at Oxford. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk. Oh, sorry, man. Go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's talk a little bit about this race and how you had to work your way through traffic, because you were playing it very patient in the first half. But once we got to that halfway point, you got up to second, it was go time for the 37.
Yeah, early on, I started on the outside, so I really wanted to just get down as soon as possible and, work my way up as slow as I can, keep my tires good, and try to get to the front as quick as I could, but, with keeping my tires good and everything. So we were running there, I think it was 5th or 6th behind Travis there, and I think it was about lap 50. I was like, man, I gotta go. So I started to use my bumper a little bit, which... at this track, it was kind of hard to pass, so I feel like that was something that a lot of people were doing, so I gave my bumper a few times out there and just started to go.
Caden, let's talk about once you got out front. It seemed like you were the best car on the long run, and pulling away late, you're coming to 3 laps to go, you're thinking, all right, got this locked up. Then the caution comes out. What goes through your mind when you have an almost 6-second lead over the cars behind you with 3 laps to go and then the caution comes out?
Just making no mistakes. At that point, when you have a dominant car like that, you can't make any mistake to give the guy in second place a chance to win. So that was my biggest thing is, hey, get a good restart here and make sure you hit 1 and 2 good, and that's what's going to help you out the rest of the final 2 laps.
Okay, and it's your second win in this race. However, this is the part where we normally ask if you're looking forward to next week, but it goes without saying you're not looking forward to next week, but for a different reason, because you're not going to be competing in the Northwest Snowball Derby. You're going to be at the real Snowball Derby. Are you excited to go on vacation a little bit here?
Yeah, I'm excited to go on vacation and spend time down there, and different environment, definitely. So gotta thank Casey Garber for giving me a place to stay, and hopefully we can have some fun and then come back and race and do good next time.
All right, Caden, 4th career win on the tour, first of the season, and boy, when you broke through the ice last year, it began to snowball for you until some circumstances took you out of the rest of the season. But man, a chance to get some of that momentum back. Thank you, sponsors.
I want to thank Harvest Chevrolet, Custom Fab, and LSRTP for putting this on.
Caden Anderson, 4th career win on the tour, first of the year, but back-to-back at Oxford. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, well, we have talked to our top 3. Wesley Outland, we're going to turn to you first for your final thoughts on this incredible race here at Oxford tonight. Anderson with back-to-back victories, but man, we expected something very similar to this, and it delivered another great show here for the tour.
And hopefully this will be a turning point for Caden Anderson on the Northwest iRacing Cup and Truck Series on Monday and Thursday night when they return back to action as they're right smack dab in the middle of the round of 8 playoffs in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoff Series. But yeah, congratulations to Caden Anderson, the young man. Looking forward to hopefully meeting him sometime this week down at the 53rd Annual Snowball Derby at Pensacola, Florida, and Five Flags Speedway. But yeah, congratulations, Caden Anderson. Awesome job here at Oxford Plains, and looking forward to the real and virtual duties of being the Joe's Racing Products pit reporter for Five Flags Speedway next week and, of course, on LSR TV and CRN Sports next Sunday night, race time finish permitting. But I think we'll be done by the time we guys get to action around after 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern around your time in the world of the Pacific world. But anyhow, Charles, Greg, always fun. Great time here tonight at the Oxford Plains Speedway. And again, it's on to the Snowball and for Five Flags Virtual next week. Should be a fun time.
And Charles, going to turn it back to you. Thank you, Wesley, as always, for the great action on pit road. Charles, we've talked about it, the Snowball Derby. Me and you and Wesley, we got to do a preview of this on Wednesday night. We got to do a 200-lap super late model race that you can catch in the archives here on LSR TV. Man, we are expecting a great race next week. 300 laps, the longest of the season for these guys.
Yeah, and of course now every time I think of the Snowball Derby, I think of another race that I didn't know was existence, but we won't go into that on stream. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the virtual Snowball Derby-ish race, if that's technically the name of it, but we're going to run it either way here for the Northwest Tour. Definitely looking to Five Flags. Love the track. It's a blast to race on. And really, I think it's short track racing at its finest when you go there.
And that other race that you mentioned, stay tuned to LSR TV because we may have a surprise in the works coming up earlier in the week than next week for the Snowball Derby. Stay tuned because we may have a little bit of a surprise for the fans that we're working on ironing out all the final details for. So stay tuned to that here on LSR TV as we get set to go to Pensacola, Florida. But for tonight in Oxford, Maine, it's time to call it a night and start cooking some lobster here with Caden Anderson grabbing the win, back-to-back victories in the Oxford 200. A incredible performance by all of our great drivers, and once again, another fantastic showing. For Charles Wooten and Wesley Outland down on pit road, I'm Greg Rentz. Thank you for once again joining us here on Sunday night for the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products. And remember to donate to Sarge's Veteran Supply. We're going to post the link on our Facebook page and the Northwest Tour Facebook page so you guys can help out and help a great cause. Thank you to them for stepping up tonight. But for everybody at LSR TV, thank you for tuning in tonight, and we will see you next week at the Snowball for Pensacola, Florida. Congratulations to our top three. We'll see you guys next week.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's